I think I'll start with a question by like which I had of my own, which I wanted to ask. Sorry. So when I watched Aavasavyuham, like something came to my mind, which is like I was trying to do my diploma in FTI, and I had a couple of options, and I tried to adapt. Marcus is a very old man with extraordinary wings, and I did something which is closer to the climax of your film.
Yes,
With
yes.
yeah. So I was just asking, like, was it the inspiration, how you came about the idea and everything?
I would tell that it is not totally inspired. However, I would say that I had a climax in which there is this person who becomes a frog in a house, and people would come and visit him. And my editor Rakesh told me that there is a book called An Old Man with Enormous Wings, which if I want, I can refer to. So that's when I got the idea that I read the short story, and I understood that I can take a lot of things from this, because I'm also exploring magical realism. So the idea of taking tickets came from Old Man with Enormous Wings, and yeah, and the circus. But I already had the idea of the circus, so I would not say completely, but yeah, but definitely I can't ignore the fact that I read the book, and now it's there, and I can't stop. So the reference is also given in the end of the film with all the other references. Old Man with Enormous Wings is, and Jan Gandharvan also is a reference given at the end of the film.
No, but it's a interesting, it was suddenly when I was watching, I thought of, even before reading the reference, I was like, oh, this is nice.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah. And second thing I wanted to ask is about Purusha Pretham.
Yeah.
Like, there is really an interesting formalistic approach with the lens which you have done, and the kind of images you have, used to like knit together the narrative of of that kind of a police officer, who's
Yeah.
exaggerating things. So, like, how? Why? Can you just elaborate if it's?
Can you repeat the question?
So I'm like,
Lens.
there is, yeah, the lensing and the like the way the images are composed.
So
Compositional lensing is what I'm like.
As a graphic novel artist or a graphic artist, I am always inspired by things in which the space occupies more space, a more I would say real estate of the image. Also, what I was trying to do is the screenplay that the story that Ajit told me in the screenplay that we developed is a very straightforward screenplay. And I was thinking how to make this into a very interesting content image wise. So I am inspired by materials like the Comet, and the same director has made Mr. Robot. I'm also inspired by Sin City, where the negative space and the becomes a more important character. Also, as a film faculty, after your first few years of teaching and practicing, you kind of become aware that you don't need the rule of 180, or you don't need the uh, you know the left and right, and the axis ideas and everything, if you are in control of the medium. So I went into a design approach which is called the Gestalt approach. I'll call it the Gestalt approach. So in design, there's something called the Gestalt law of psychology, where the sum of the whole is not the sum of its parts. And this is how we cognitively connect to a lot of images everywhere. So if you look at Purusha Pretham, people are on the left corner, people are on the right corner, the axis breaks in every shot. They're connected by sound, they're connected by layout and composition, and not exactly by the way normally films are connected by the rule of 180. So I can break axis, and so we had an aesthetic cheat sheet where we mark every shot. So that was one task that our team had. And if it satisfies 120 points in the aesthetic cheat sheet, then it is in the language of the film that we imagined it to be. And how does this contribute? I would say this is style over substance. There is it is not needed in the film. So sometimes in film schools and in design schools they say that your form emerges from the content, which I would say that for certain artwork, form is the content. So this is how I want to tell it, and there is no right or wrong in a medium called cinema. So I thought I'll just go and explore it. One of the secret ideas is that I found the screenplay and the story to be a little boring at times. So if I make it the way a normal investigative thriller is made, more than that, since I'm from a design background, I am aware of a little bit of eyeball movement. You place two people in two corners and your eyeballs keep on moving left and right and left and right, and so cognitively you are overloading people with uh, a little bit of confusion, but at the same time coherence with dialogue. So that will help a lot of audience to engage at a stage where their attention span is very low. So if you look at a scene by the end where Darshana and Prashant, Chetan, and this other guy, this advocate played by James Elia, they are having this conversation for 4 minutes, but you don't find it boring. It is not because of not only because of the good dialogues that were written, not only because of the chemistry and dynamics, but also because there are certain shots where it is half divided into half. Suddenly it goes into dark. Then there is green and red, and you're trying to capture attention to drama, but not just through placing two cameras over the shoulders of two people and recording it, but you are trying to have negative frames, positive frames, then you're breaking it with reds and greens, and then there is thunder and lighting. And so I think I was having fun while doing it, and not thinking about consequences, because I was trying to do is communication, and communication is money in a capitalistic cinema making universe. Yeah.
So now I think we can start with the topic which we've discussed. And so I'll hand over the discussion to you, Krishand. We can start.
No, I would rather have questions and answers rather than so that from there I can build into my topics, the world of images and objects and how they are based in communication. Otherwise, I can go directly, but it would be better if we start with topics and then we
Yeah, yeah.
jump
It's
into.
open to everyone. If anyone want to like ask Krishant anything like specific, then we can start from there.
Hi,
Yeah.
Niranjan.
So I don't know if this question is pertaining to how images and objects are used in screenplay. I had a slightly different question. Can I ask that? I mean,
Yep. Go ahead. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So the question was, so I've actually watched uh, all the all the content that I could of yours.
Uh-huh.
So going back to Bhagavatika, so
Okay.
I felt like when you started things out as an independent filmmaker, it felt like there were scenarios wherein you made a few compromises, probably in dubbing, lip sync, but the way you told the story was very effective. So it felt like you made some slight compromises there. So for an upcoming filmmaker, where would you, especially people who have financial crunches, where would you advise them to make these compromises? On should they focus more on the technical, quality, or should they on the other side? Should it be on the other side?
I would. I consider myself as an upcoming filmmaker. I think I'm still. I haven't started making the films that I want because I have not yet found the budgets that I want. So I'm still making those compromises. But I would say that as a practicing filmmaker, the idea is that you have certain ideas and you have certain skill sets and you have certain and you think that you are bound to tell stories, and also you are secretly planning to make money through by telling stories in this medium of cinema, and so you will never get it on a platter. I was reading this recent book which is on the director of Gladiator, Ridley Scott, and I found out that even Ridley Scott does not get enough resources to make the vision that he wants, or even James Cameron does not get the enough resources to make the vision that he wants. Everybody is bound by time, so it's this triangle. So when you have money, you don't have time. When you have time, you don't have. So it's this triangle. All three will never coincide. Like in relationships, like in life, these three never coincides in cinema as well. So the idea is to get across, to communicate, and every time you make a scratch or you scribble something, you are improving a little bit. You will understand where your parameters are. Sometimes you edit and try to save the film, so you understand the power of edit. Sometimes with sound you rescue yourself, then you understand that their acting can be bad, and how to handle actors who are not convincing enough, or how to have tricks and techniques to make them convincing enough, to give them secondary activities, to make their activities busier so that they don't concentrate on the words. Also, so these tricks comes in when you keep on doing and doing and doing, and then you start seeing patterns of your work, and now you have a body of work where you see all the mistakes. And also, don't be embarrassed to get your work outside. I mean, there are a lot of people who are very critical, and I think that is their job, to be critical, be graceful, and cry alone, but be graceful and take whatever you can, and either keep on making. I think this is like working out. This is like a muscle that needs to be, given exercise and creatine and protein every day, so that you become sharper and sharper in every. And sometimes, cinema also has this magic that at different points of time, sometimes you get this wise magic thought, and you cross over the limit of not having a budget, or not having the right artist to articulate your content material, or even the right music. So this is just a process of you trying it out with yourself. Did I answer your question, Niranjan?
Yes, yes, very much. Thanks. I
Yeah,
actually
I
had.
mean, you will see that in every film, and I keep reading it on Letterboxd and everything, and people telling that I'm getting better, I'm getting worse, and this and that. But for me, it's like I need to start. Uh, so there's a series that I'm making, which is my first project where I've got at least 70% of the budget that I really needed to make. Not 100%, but 70%. So you will definitely see the difference. You will see that I can do proper layered lighting, or I can have big action scenes where all the departments have to work together to achieve that action scene. Not just the actor, or the actor and cinematographer, but the art has to, the VFX has to. So those materials I've gently started easing into those materials with my web series that is coming up in 2-3 months. And also in Sangharsha Ghadana, there are a lot of things where everything has to fall in place so that the scenes would work. So I think I'm still learning this craft.
Yeah, yeah, that answers the question. I think in one of your interviews also, I remember you saying this is more of a practice, that comes with experience rather
Yes,
than.
yes. I think that is also because of the inner voice that is not very kind to me, which keeps saying that you can do better, you can do better. So there is also a childhood trauma, and I understand that. But at the same time, I consider everything, like a workout.
I actually had another question pertaining to the topic. I promise to stick to the topic this
Yeah,
time. Can I ask it?
yeah. If you're the
Yes,
only
yes,
one,
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So one of my favorite filmmakers is Bong Joon-ho. Sorry, am I clear?
I did not follow the name of the filmmaker.
Bong Joon-ho, Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So he often uses shapes and the altitude of everything to tell his story. Even in Memories of Murder, he uses color grading as a tool
Yeah, yeah.
to set the tone of the entire film. And I was so excited to see. I'm not comparing his work to yours because you have a very unique style of your own, but the way you structure the film, the framing, you break like 180. I actually asked this question after Sangharsha Ghadana screening at yeah,
You did?
IFFK. Yeah. So the thing is, what I want to ask was the way you design your film. In some filmmakers, I felt like that was a way the way they break 180, or the way they use colors or framing. It's more of a way to um, kind of sell the product and make it more interesting rather than a tool to like effectively tell the story. So.
Mhm.
Which school of thought would you? I mean, no filmmaker has to follow just one, but like in your case, have you found yourself stuck? Like, do I have to like use this as a tool to just effectively tell the story, or should I make this use this to kind of sell this product as a film? Because I felt like you've kind of
Are you
struck the
speaking about
balance.
Sangharsha or are you speaking about Purusha Pretham? Because in Sangharsha,
Purusha,
uh, uh, I was
Purusha,
not Purusha Pretham. Okay,
yeah, sorry. No, Purusha Pretham, I think you've already mentioned here
mentioned.
because
So in
he,
Sangharsha,
yeah.
I think, uh, so I started Sangharsha because another film did not work out. So the thought of sales is something that struck me very late. Okay. And and if you look at Sangharsha, nothing in Sangharsha will help me sell the product at all, because it has long shots and people having conversations for 5 minutes and everything. But still, since I'm a communication designer, I'm able to move the film forward in a more uh, I can luckily I can design the flow of the film, but that has nothing to do with the sales of the film. With the sales of the film, what I thought was, so after one point, I figured out that the film is a little slower than my usual films. Not like excuse me, not like Vrithakrithiyilulla. So I thought like I'll have more. I took out 6 minutes of the film to make it flow easier. I really think about selling. So the web series that I made, so somebody is paying a lot of money for the web series. Sony is paying a lot of money for the web series, and I can't make the series exactly the way I want. I want to make it so that the platform will generate revenue. I will generate revenue, and it becomes interesting, so that I also get to make a season two. Everything is designed. Every aspect is designed. The music is designed, and we I also think of money and interactivity every shot we make. But in Sangharsha Ghadana, we were not thinking about selling at every point. Occasionally, yes, but not every point. But have I reached that point where I'm thinking about money while I make films? Yes, I have, because I started making money from cinema. So this is my second year of making money from cinema. So definitely, as an independent filmmaker who has found out that there's money in cinema, because we never get to know this whole uh, truth that cinema will give us money. We are always spending money on cinema and riding on other capital like cultural capital and network friendship capital and stuff. But suddenly there is real, the real capital like money. And so now when I make a material to sell, I think of packaging it in such a way that the platform understands its value, the audience can interact with the film and pay for it and stuff. So yeah, so I've reached that point is what I feel. Now I think about it, but with Sangharsha I was not thinking in those lines.
But can I just point out that your earlier works like Vrithakrithi and even Kraya feels more commercial than your recent projects. I don't know why. I just feel this because you still uh, stuck to your core strength, which is like the quirky comedy, which works with everyone. But still, so Vrithakrithi, for example, had that song sequence where they're going on the bicycle. It feels more like a Malayalam film, but then as we as I go, as I'm watching your films, it feels like so when I watched Sangharsha Ghadana, it felt very unique, but then it didn't feel as commercial as maybe Vrithakrithi. And you were it was a little more emphatic in what it was trying to say. I know it's, it talks about anti-war. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but can I say it's an anti-war film here?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So yeah, so that is said very profoundly, but then it doesn't feel as commercial as that way. So I feel like it's very kind of ironical that you say, like, it is a product and it has to make money, but then your earlier works feel more commercial to me than
but no, Vrithakrithi, I was figuring out if I can make cinema, the 2 hour format cinema. So Vrithakrithi did not have anything like. We just had some money from Rahul. I had some money, and we found a camera from Baba's, and then my editor Rakesh, he made a setup for edit and edited on our machine. We figured out coloring ourselves. Everything is scratch. So the idea is that can we make a film with the resources that we have in hand, was the only idea in making Vrithakrithi. So when people talk about philosophy and concept and things that work out and things that did not work out and everything, in deep inside me, it does not affect at all, because basically my idea is now I can make film with the resources that I have. So when I figured out that I can make film with the resources that I have, then I started pushing boundaries with Aavasavyuham. Like, let me just make exactly what I can't make, or which is tougher to make. With Vrithakrithi, when you say it is commercial, Vrithakrithi did not make money. So I think, and the second half, even the screening at IFFK, a lot of people walked out of Vrithakrithi, and I'm like, and my father was the first one to walk out, but he went to smoke a cigarette, and that was an inspiration for a lot of people to leave behind him. And I was thinking that that is not how a film should be. I mean, a film can be slow, but a film should always, interact with its audience. So people who are on a trip, like in their heads, they connect with Vrithakrithi a lot more than, film like Purusha Pretham, which is designed for people, or Aavasavyuham, which is designed for people. Again, Sangharsha Ghadana is not designed for people. It has its moments, it has things that are designed for people, but basically there is some abstraction here and there, and there is some abstraction here and there. But with Vrithakrithi, after one point, Vrithakrithi is like, and also I was naive and simpler when I was making Vrithakrithi. So my idea to communicate was through image, sound. I was not juxtaposing this much in Vrithakrithi. So that's all.
Yeah, when I said commercial elements, the so-called commercial elements is what I meant. But then even in Vrithakrithi and the recent projects, I found that you mix genres. Even when
yes,
bring up philosophy, you connect that somehow with human connections and interpersonal relationships. You still stick to your core strength, but then you find like that narrow way to, like, in your words, like, quote unquote, smuggle art.
Yes. So I want to do that, because I really think that art is something that I was lucky to have, to get the privilege to understand certain artwork, which is by sheer luck. Okay, and so when you understand that art, how can I make it simpler so that it comes into a commercial art? So with Purusha Pretham, a lot of people don't understand that Purusha Pretham has negative frames and positive frames and all that, but they still feel something is wrong. So this is like their first step into understanding that there is a rule of thirds, and there is negative space and positive space and all that, for at least 1 out of 100 people, and which is, as an academician, that if I am able to bring those things into my work, I still feel happy. And at the same time, I should not reduce its sellability at all. So I keep trying to. Purusha Pretham has a lot of painting references, and Purusha Pretham has a lot of noir references. There are 100 reviewers out there, who comes and says things about film, but I have not seen anyone talk about the references. Everyone is speaking about the negative frames. There is Monet painting references. There is Sin City artwork references. Nobody speaks about that, because people are limited in their privilege of understanding art because of their upbringing and their education and everything. So you can't blame them. So, but I try to push things so that there's something in discussion. And also, uh, yeah, I think I don't have anything more.
Yep. Anybody else? Thank you for the question.
Srikanth.
Yes, Srikanth.
So yeah, I have watched two of your films, Aavasavyuham and Purusha Pretham.
Oh, lovely.
I missed the new one at IFFK. But and thanks for letting us know about the image making compositions in Purusha Pretham. That was insightful. So I see that you are associated with this film called Gaganachari, right?
Yes, yes, I was.
So
I
what's
am.
your yeah. So, what's your take on when you talk about objects and images and compositions? Like, how do you think this AI, like, which I think they have used in Gaganajari quite a lot, how it's gonna influence, or probably like, are you inclined to make a film like using AI in future? And how do you see the like ideas? I mean, will there be more room to create a different kind of image, like you were mentioning in Purusha Pretham, like because we have the possibility of creating our own image, like and objects which are like not, which could be like difficult to create in a art direction setup in a conventional film, but then in AI maybe you could use a different language. How do you see that, and what's your take on the AI and virtual production?
I practice. So right now I am into a little bit of Sora, a little bit of Dali. I'm into Midjourney like a lot. Like I'm into a little bit of coding and everything from it. With the new interface, I'm exploring a lot. My looks to my cinematographer is usually first I make it on Midjourney and then share it with my cinematographer with examples. So this is something that we use in pre-production for the last 2 years. So instead of a concept art from a concept artist, we make it in Midjourney, or we make it in Dali and give it. And I've also used 1 or 2 images in Sangharsha Ghadana, which is AI generated, because when I finally sell my product to an OTT, I'll replace it with an original image. But right now, those original Getty images are expensive, and I thought I will generate similar images using AI. And I think that AI is super empowering. The laws, or the copyright laws, or the way AI copies images from artists, those laws are not very clear. And uh, the AI companies that make AI products, they should clear out the laws. But for a common man, this is very empowering. I mean, they are able to create images, and they are able to understand images. So suddenly, image making becomes very democratic. And I think as a civilized society, moving towards democracy in any department, in any field, is always good. Imagine that AI can treat your skin problem, or AI can treat your eye problem at home. So this is very much similar to that. I mean, you can, and also creating videos in AI. It's in its nascent stage. The transitions are not good, but I think that soon a lot of people will be using AI in their films, and there's nothing wrong or right or anything about it. It's part of development and technology and everything. And whenever a new technology comes in an art form which embraces a lot of technology together, like cinema, will always be the first ones to take it. Now, when technology becomes democratic, the problem is that there will be a lot of bad artwork, or bad images as well, or bad products as well, or bad responses as well. And that is part of everything. That is part of newspaper, that is part of blog writing, that's part of Instagram, or Twitter, or TikTok, and everything. So there's nothing bad about AI. And But at the same time, when you look at it from the perspective of a concept artist, this person is suddenly losing his job. But so were the horses, and the farmers, and at the tailors, and people. We will all lose our jobs when technology takes over, and that is how technology is. It is to make our life better. And the smarter people, the ones that are really hardworking, will always find a way to work with this technology and make their life better.
Any new questions, or like this already raised? They will raised it again. Yeah, Ranjan.
My question is, how do you say no to your own ideas first? Because I feel like you are a person, you're a filmmaker who kind of starts imagining how the entire film is going to be as you go with the ideas. So there'll be like you get an idea, there'll be some interesting thing there, there'll be an interesting development there, but then you have to somewhere you have to say to yourself, okay, this might not work, and you have to cancel the idea. I feel like you're a person, who might be really involved in the idea that so I mean so much that it might be a little difficult for you to say no to yourself. So I think a lot of filmmakers go through this. That's why. And I have a follow-up question too. So I
No,
just
no. I think all most of my decision making in after my design school is based on desirability, viability, and feasibility. And so, if it is desirable, viable, and feasible, we'll do it. If it is desirable and viable and not feasible, and if I have a confident team, we'll still do it. So, it's based on this triangle that we don't put scores, but we throw it to each other. If it is desirable but not viable, like a lot of decisions in cinema is based on money, so we will not do it. So I wanted my a car to flip 180. We tried it, it did not flip. We can try it again, but it might flip, but we are bound by finishing the shoot in the next 2 hours. We don't flip the car, so you won't see it flipping. So this is how decisions are mostly made. But about the car flipping, when I'm writing for Sony, the car will flip because the platform will give me money. But when I am producing it, the car might not flip. It will be just like how it is in that film Shaitan, where a Hummer, the accident of a Hummer is shown in an iPhone jumping inside the Hummer. So most of my decisions are based on this desirability, viability, feasibility. I'm able to articulate it in this manner because I'm from a design background. I think most decisions in cinema is based on this. I've been how artists choose a film, or how art directors work. Everything is based on this triangle.
Hi, Krishand. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are perfectly.
Yeah. I quite liked it when you said sometimes form is the content. So there's this whole debate of form versus content and the thin line which divides both of them. When it comes to the subject, images and objects, there is something else that I actually want to ask you. Is the influence of social media on contemporary filmmaking practices? How deep is it? How bad is it, or how good is it? We depend on social media to promote a film, and also in a way, social media influences the way the stories are narrated in today's time. What do you think?
In Aavasavyuham, one of my idea was to make it like TikTok. The reels had not come out then. So TikTok would be like you are giving one context and then you suddenly change the context, but still the continuum in your head makes it contextual. So this was an attempt to fight the attention span in Aavasavyuham. If you see, then nothing in 4 minutes is similar to each other, but in as a whole, I would say that there is nothing wrong or right with social. We can't even because as humans we always wanted to communicate, and then social media is this powerful medium of communication where everyone is able to express even what they're eating and what they're drinking and how their child is feeling and how they're feeling to a lot of people, and communication is always an asset. And I would say that social media is the most powerful space that we have reached, and so for everyone to interact with everyone from any part of the world. How does it affect cinema? For me, the attention span affecting cinema is true. I think a lot of people don't connect with cinema, which is more reflective now, which is based on literature or poetry now, and you have to have loud sounds, and you have to change context, and you have to have a lot of visual effects, and you have to have punchlines, and you have to design your cinema in such a way that every third minute or fourth minute there's something or the other happening. You cannot have a contemplative. You still have it in China. You have the Chinese contemplative cinema still happening, and you have the art house films. But we also slowly start to notice that they're not making money as such. But I would say that this is evolution itself. I mean, um, uh, either we can embrace this change and make fast cinema, or we can tell that the older days were better and stick to the cinema that is like poetry, or we can have a dopamine detox ourselves and cut ourselves from social media for 1.5 years, and then you know there are still people making such kind of art material and enjoy it. We cannot have everything together is what I feel. I would embrace it and I would try to be a part of it, because I think there is no running away from it as an artist. And people use social media for promotion and all that. Some of it is not great because since it is an attention based dopamine based what do you call it? Dopamine based media, you have to you have to alarm people, and you have to educate people, or you have to create this dopamine influencing sounds or materials, and also sexualize the whole medium so that you get people's attention. And that is another side of social media. I mean, that is another part. That is there in newsprints as well. When newsprint was made for the first time, it was used for Bible, and then we now have Playboy coming on newsprint, and all the Muthuchipi coming on newsprint. So every medium will have its different sides of it. I mean, that's I don't have an elaborate thought on it, but I would want to be a part of it and understand and make use of it for my filmmaking.
Again, one more thing. What is your process of finding the right form for a subject or a screenplay?
As mentioned earlier, when I was in design school, the form derives from the content. So that is the Bauhausian idea of design and art and film. But right now, in this age of social media and in cinema, it is not always from the content. Like, you want to tell a story of someone dying alone at a home, you can have a comedy as well, and you can also have quirky lighting and stuff. So the truth about how a brain works is that you are only people who, I would say, fanatically privileged are people who look for purity in form. The other ones are okay with kish and okay with potpourris and okay with aviyals and sambars and okay with mixtures. So there is no such thing as this form will suit this material. Is what philosophy I'm subscribing right now. I may end up not believing like this, like like this Japanese film master filmmakers who end up making porn videos, or like RGV, who ended up making B grade films, because he understood that primal is the most important thing, and let's not waste ourselves on drama and action and everything. We still make something primal and people will pay for it. So, but right now what I subscribe to is that you can choose style and you can choose material and then try to understand the relations. Some of it suits if your design practices are better, everything falls in place. If you make one wrong decision, then it is a catastrophe. Hopefully people will not make that decision, because George Polti's 36 dramatic situations and all that. So there are if you're learning cinema or artwork, you basically learn all these narrative techniques and everything, and if you're able to employ what you read and learned and heard in podcasts and everything to your artwork, then chances of making those mistakes in form are very less. The chance of making those mistakes in communication are very high, because communicating emotion is the toughest part. If you are into narrative cinema, if I am into narrative cinema, like even for an artist or even for a musician, that is very tough. Because because those emotions are primal, and also they are pedestrian. Everyone see or understands this emotion, and you cannot abstract those emotions easily. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Robin, I think Sachin has raised his hand.
Sachin has raised his hand. So Sachin,
Yes,
can you
Sachin.
go ahead and
Hi.
ask?
Hi, Krishand.
Hi, Sachin.
My name is Sachin. I just wanted to ask you, I was listening to another director talking about why uh, one has to or should not study filmmaking uh, and other film related practices in a school
Mhm.
setting. So when he was asked what he would recommend, then he said, "You should all go and study in design schools."
Ah, yes, yes, yes. Kashyap was speaking about it. Yes.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
want to ask you, because you are also a designer. Your take. How do you understand this question about studying filmmaking and where to study today? Are film schools the right place? What do you think?
I think film schools and design school. I think the idea of education is to go to a space to understand something and then employ it in your artwork. The problem with film schools right now is that film schools end up and even design schools end up making people so aware of all the cinema happening in the world, and increase their standards, that they are unable to accept pedestrian work, or they are unable to accept mediocrity, and then they end up not making anything because of their high standards. Okay, because they are comparing everything with Wonka and Wai, or they are comparing everything with Balatar. But that is because the standards become so high. So humility and humbleness cannot be taught in a film school. It has to come from your primary education, where you understand all this. You go to a film school, you see Satyajit Ray, and you also are smart enough to understand that you are not Satyajit Ray, or you might be, but unless you make a film, you will not understand. And also, I think discussion on cinema and criticizing cinema is very rampant in film schools, and so most of the critiques that we see are people who want to add a bit to what Kashyap made or what Tarkovsky made and sound themselves smart. Like it's not about this film as such; it is about themselves. And a lot of people in film school end up becoming like that because of the amount of data that they get from film school. So they compare every artwork with every other artwork. But at the same time, you are a maker, so only if you are comparing all the time, then everything is a problem, because then you are not basically a creator. You are basically a person like a weighing machine. You see Kishkinda Kantam, and you want to weigh it with Memories of Murder, or Nolan's that memory film. You want to weigh it with this and that, and the idea is that you are also a rasika, you are also an audience, and this should be very important. So you lose that in film schools and even in design schools. With design school, the idea is that you end up doing a design process, but you learn nothing about cinema. That is also true with design schools. I would say that you go to any school, you go to a typography school, you learn typography, you understand the process, and then you come back and make cinema. But try to figure out your own process. There is nothing which is right or wrong. The only thing that is wrong is that you go to a place, you acquire a limited knowledge, and then you start using it as a weighing, scale for anything that is presented to you, or anything that you make, that you end up making nothing. So that is what I feel with film schools and design schools.
Thank you.
Did I answer your question? Do you want to add something? Does it sound proper? Because Tarantino did not go to a film school. So Nolan did not go to a film school. None of the masters went to a film school. So we should not also go to a film school. That is not the thought that should come to our heads, because because the masters did not know they are masters when they started out. Okay.
Yeah.
Abhija has raised a hand. So,
Hi Abhija. Hi.
Hello, Krishand. I was just wondering, and I haven't, I think, framed the question very well. I'll just throw it. Okay.
Oh yeah,
But
please.
so it's, when we talked about, emotion-based cinema making, I felt like emotion-based filmmaking, storytelling won't be relevant for a long. I mean, won't stay like in comics. I don't know. Rick and Morty is there, no? It is not very emotional. There is no drama. Very less drama, but it's very enjoyable and it's so good. So with the entry of AI, and we cannot do without AI, that future is very near. I, and me being an actor and an actor trainer, I find it very amusing to I sometimes fall into this pit that I don't know how to train my actor students. like uh, I have to play with their emotions and tell them to come up with your emotional memory and all that. And I feel I go doubtful about how far this will be relevant, like playing with memory and emotional memory recall and all that. And as a filmmaker, when you work with actors, what do you think? Like, is human beings' emotions are relevant, or is it going to be absent in the near future? How do you see it?
I think with commercial cinema which makes money, I think the basic human emotion will always connect and communicate. Even with the high concept materials like Rick and Morty, what they do, so the Rick and Morty people, so film students can also look at the hero's journey kind of cycle that the Rick and Morty creators have created. You can Google it or chat GPT it. There's this set of like the 3-act structure kind of a breakdown by the creators who made Rick and Morty. So they are also basing it on structure, and also Rick and Morty is making this higher concept of relatable. So relatable is very important, is what I feel with such concepts. Even though the emotion is wit and jokes, the relatability is very high. And so you place a grandfather and this grandson, and you have a family. You are still in a structure. It is not entirely abstract. It is not entirely basing our ideas on images, and also basing it on the impact that these images make in our brain. It is supported with sound. It is supported with music. It is supported with language. It is also supported with sounds that actually make all this communicate together. What about emotions? I don't know. It's tough to say, are they relevant? But with AI, I think in our lifetime, we still have a chance to practice these emotions, and to get to teach those emotions and everything. In future, there's this interesting scientist, Kevin Warwick, who has implanted things on his nerve, on his arm, and you don't have to show emotion. The emotion goes from nerve core to another person's nerve core, and you communicate and everything. So we are moving fast in these technologies, and we cannot even envisage what I am too small and too nobody to actually make any comment on it. I hope it stays relevant for another 10 years or 15 years till I'm
10 years. Yes. Yeah. This is the part I am worried about. Like, this is going too fast and evolution is going too slow. So, when you said this is part of evolution, maybe, yeah.
No, I think there's this Moore's law as well, right? The technology doubles itself every 18 months. Now it's not relevant. The Moore's law itself is not relevant because of AI. Because now the technology keeps on changing. But this is also 25 years of research that we are getting now. The whole algorithms and development of algorithms is 25 to 30 years of research from the late 90s. This has started, and we have all the data, and we have internet and everything, and now there are models that can learn from this data. So it is all this is 25 years of research. I think the result that we are seeing has are 25 to 12 years of research. I don't have any comment on this. I hope it adds to cinema, and it adds to theater, and it adds to everything. I'm making music on Suno.ai, and I find that very interesting. It's so good. You get lyrics. You can make Malayalam songs as well, and while some people say that, people who have practiced music for 30 years will say that this is going to affect the purity of music, I would say that as a practitioner, this is a back and forth work. This is like bouncing on the wall. Somebody asks you to create music for a horror film, and this director says that you want a horror film music, but it should also be funny, but there should be horror in between. You give that to the AI, and it'll create a music. This is a starting point. Otherwise, the starting point is 20 days of thinking, and or 20 days of debating with someone, or listening to a lot of music lists, and forming your ideas. But now AI will give you an idea, and you reiterate and reiterate, and you finally get something from AI, which can be your starting point. You can either directly use it, which is also okay. A lot of people would say that it's not okay, but which is also okay. But that can be a starting point, because you have learned 30 years, spent 30 years in music. Now you have some idea, and then you start use it as a starting point. So it can be like a bouncing scratch pad or a sketch pad, or anything. But if we look at it like how it is going to harm our artwork, then definitely it is. But if you look at it as something that will help us, save those times iterating or working out or anything, it's like creatine. It's like I don't want to say cocaine, but it's like creatine. So it's like one of those things that help us bounce back and forth.
Yeah. Interesting.
Thank you for the invite.
Go to the next question, Krishand.
Yes, Rajesh.
Yeah, Rajesh.
Hi, Krishand.
Hi, Rajesh.
Like I just want to you were talking about the design education and film education, right? You can hear me, right? Yeah.
I can.
Yeah. So I was one person who has done both. Like I was, so I was in
You say how sad.
again, that's what I was trying to say, because I don't know, like when I was in my childhood, I always want to make films, but only thing I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to figure out how to do a feature film. So when I got a chance to, when I went to my degree, so I chose architecture because I thought it is more related to films. You can understand space and those kind of things I thought. So I did my architecture. Then after that, I couldn't figure out okay, no, film is not like this. It's something different. So I went to a design school. I did from SPA, MDes from SPA. Then from there, I made 2-3 short films. That's different, but still, that design. When you talked about form and content, form and function, and all those things, that all we have gone through books and also. Then again, I figured out this is not the case. I had to survive. Then I went to a communication design company. I was working there for 3 years. Then I left the job and I went to Pune Film Institute as a cinematography student. 3 years I did. I'm a batchmate of Robin. He's in direction, I was in cinematography. So when was the time that you figured out? Then when you have to move out, from the design field or wherever field you were. So to the shift to cinema, how was it?
No. I was for me it struck me very early. So in +2, by the time 10th and +2, I figured out that there's something called film direction. So I was in the British Library reading a book about film direction, and I did not know that there is something called a director. And this was about Robert Zemeckis and Forrest Gump. So I did not know about Forrest Gump either. Then in +1, +2, I got a chance to watch Forrest Gump. And I was like, wow, this is something different. And then I got a chance to watch And I figured out, since I've read the book, I figured out that the director has chosen this and that. So I wanted to be a film director then, but I did not know how. So even in my biotechnology and biochemical engineering, I used to call myself a film director, but I don't know how to figure it out, because I'm also not from a very privileged, economically stable background. I'm actually from a very unstable, inept background, and dreaming of something like a direction, or even going to FTI for that matter. FTI is super, expensive for me. Was and is still expensive for me, and so is SRFTI. And I always wonder how people go to FTI and study, and then suddenly, some of my friends are studying in Whistling Woods, which is like
So
SBI,
that's true.
FTI into 3. And so then I understood that, money makes things accessible for a lot of people, and I don't have money. And I can't even ask my parents for money. So this is a point when I understood that I should join a space which gives me stipend. So I could not go to NID, and so I only tried IDC, IIT, and wrote the exam, got in. So I get stipend, and my father helped me pay the fee, but I could also, survive through times in IIT because of the. So my idea to enter into cinema was, to make money somehow. And there are 2 subjects in IDC where when I joined. One is called video communication, and the second one is experimental filmmaking. So these are the 2 subjects that I got in my 2 years of film. But I made a lot of films. I had a faculty there,
Yes.
Krish Balancer and everyone, who helped me make a lot of film. But I also got an access to all this materials. Like I got an access to 5D Mark II, to FCP, to Vegas, to DaVinci, to a Mac. So that's so I figured out early, but also I kept on making, and only when you, because Kulshev's law, like, right, you put 3 images together and you put a music underneath it, it will still work, because our brain is a meaning making machine trying to figure out evolutionary meaning from images, and somehow survive. So cinema making is actually very, very easy. The only thing is that when it becomes communicating a story or an idea and a narration, then it becomes tough. With abstraction, it is not that tough, because
So when, please.
please.
No, I was asking like when you said, like, I mean, form, when you worked on the form is the content sometimes, you said. So like when you have a content, so like I when I see Gaganachari, like, or any other film of yours, like, and not Gaganachari is not your film for sure, but you, I seen something like there's a form. But the content is so it's a great potential for that content. You can do it in any way. Like, I mean, you can do it like a proper Hollywood, like, with a lot of things like that. You don't need to have dialogues. You don't need to make it like a documentary or something. You can make it like a proper fiction, but you need a lot of budget for that. Right. So how do you does the budget make you think about the form? So even if I watched Sangharsha Ghadana also last time. So Sangharsha Ghadana from IFFK. So it was like I really like the form because because I understand there's a small budget you have and you have tried to put it like in that kind of a form. Okay, like you came up with the facts and everything, and then you there's that thing is there. So does the budget it depends on the budget or not? Like, I mean, the form that you're talking about. That's it.
The form definitely depends on the budget, but also if the budget does not satisfy the material, then I will not make that material. So for Sangharsha Ghadana, I got enough money to make that material. So the script, so I got its money.
Okay.
And the text and everything. So when people watch Sangharsha Ghadana, I really want to say that it's not because of lack of money that we have put the text, or it is not because of lack of money. I think Sangharsha Ghadana's music budget would be more than in the small film's budget here.
That you can feel when you watch the film. Like, the music is so.
I think the whole. But the point here is that with Sangharsha Ghadana, I'm doing research on a book. So it is, so as a so since we are also from communication, so there is a book called The Art of War, right? So
Yes, yes,
we take the book.
yes.
Now we read the book. So the narrator is reading the book. Now I want to, as a designer, what do you do is you get a manual, you employ the manual in situations.
Yes, yes.
And now I am employing the manual in situations. So I'm employing it in situations where it should work and should not work. And then
Yes.
there is humor because of the idiosyncrasies of this material.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now I should make an audience understand this text, right? So it comes back to you. And we also see where it was employed in history. So it's basically adapting a book in such a way that it's like a washing machine manual that I'm adapting.
Got it.
But then you have to make a romantic comedy. So imagine that I'm making I got a washing machine. I got a manual for this mic. Okay. I was trying
Mhm.
I have the manual right here. But I want to make a romantic comedy. So
Yes.
you have to get the material in such a way that is how we approach Sangharsha Ghadana, and we got enough budget for Sangharsha Ghadana. With Aavasavyuham, we did not have budget.
Oh,
We did not have the budget that the movie deserved. And I was so ambitious about it. I don't know how I pulled it off and how my team pulled it off, how Rakesh pulled it off, or how Rahul. I have no clue. But I think when you are driven like
Yes.
crazy, um, art has its own way of finding itself, and that is not magic. That's because a lot of people uh, are trying to find themselves through art, and they all collaborate, and then some people who are trying to figure out art also has money, and they
Mhm.
give money to do stuff, and
Yes.
so uh, the form is also a part of having a budget. But with Aavasavyuham, I was not thinking like that. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so with every film, what I do is like I like the series is 10 years old.
Oh,
It's
okay.
pre Aavasavyuham, but when people judge it, they'll say that Aavasavyuham was better, but the series is not, or the comparison is of the
Yeah,
author. But this is written in 2015, or Purusha Pretham is older than Aavasavyuham.
Oh,
Purusha Pretham is a 2015-16 material written by Ajit. But we could only make Purusha Pretham because we could sell Aavasavyuham. Uh, so if it is better or worse, or those things are based on budget or anything, I don't think I have a proper answer for your question, but I would say that if you're making a space movie or if you're making a super sci-fi film, unless you have a strategy to use the budget, do not enter into it. That's my advice.
Got
Uh,
it.
like um, like what happens with a lot of Malayalam cinema is that nobody has a strategy, nobody has a clue, nobody has proper charts, nobody has proper design, and then you enter into the project, and midway you are forcing the producer to find funds, and then a 9 crore film becomes an 18 crore film, or a 10 crore film becomes a 20 crore film, and so now you need to make 20 crores by running it in a state like Kerala, or small releases. For making 20 crores, you should run the film for 1 month, uh, at least one show household, unless you're releasing it like Pushpa
Yeah,
across the world, and
got it.
for theaters and Allu Arjun and everything.
Yeah.
So that's most films don't end up making money because of a lack of planning. And
That's one thing I want to ask about that. Like when you, I was talking to one of the actors of Sangharsha Ghadana, like
Yeah.
the guy who did Bosco's character,
yeah.
Silesh. So he was telling me like Krishand was doing another film, so it like I mean it stopped. Like I mean that time he couldn't start, so he started with Sangharsha. He did Sangharsha Ghadana.
Yes.
Like I mean he changed the subject and he did it like in 15 days or something. You shot it.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, like, when you take a quick decision like that, like you have a big film, like maybe another film in your mind, and you suddenly changing your mind to a different film because you have to, like, I mean, you have circumstances that you
Yes.
take the decision. So why did you choose a film which has a like it has a violence in it? Like, I mean, there's a content is like violence.
Yeah.
So right now, when you look at you talked about just you say mentioned Pushpa. So nowadays, most of the content which sells is violence. To be honest. So Sangharsha Ghadana, when I saw, like I felt it like, okay, maybe you wanted to sell. You said like, I mean, Sangharsha Ghadana maybe not sellable. So I think it is sellable because it has a violent content. Like,
Oh,
because like, did you think about that? Like, did you thought about that? Like when you were doing that art of
no, nothing. What happened is my other film stopped in July,
Mhm.
and it stopped in by June end, and the entire month of July I was not doing anything,
Okay.
and the almost the half month of August. So in the middle of July, one of my friend passed away, and that was really sad. He is Vinith Masram. Cinema Beyond Entertainment is his YouTube channel. You might, as film students, might find it really useful. So, so that is a point when I looked at concepts that I wanted to make, which I'll never make, which is really scary. And Sangharsha Ghadana is one of those adaptations that I will never make because it's scary. In the sense, it is adapting a manual. It is not adapting a novel.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no so I thought like let me just try to
yeah,
adapt, and
yeah.
that
Because I
is
like, yeah, please, please.
yeah, that is how I thought that because somebody died and we all might die,
Mm,
and we will not be able to make the films that we want to make.
that's
Uh,
true.
so let's just try and make something. Let me ask a few people for funds. Let me ask a few investors for funds, and then Prayag came in, and Prayag is like, let's make it with the funds that we had. Agastya came in, and Agastya RDX had not come out then, but Agastya was super psyched by the idea of adapting this book. And Sangharsha Ghadana is about non-violence, uh, basically. So because of Taoism, Wu Wei and everything, you should give violence only as a last resort. So
Yeah,
that's what Sangharsha Ghadana is. So
yeah,
and violence sell, I think, because of the John Wick, you will get this whole
yeah.
Super Mario kind of films for some time, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that is okay, I think. And then people will get really upset about the films where people are killing 200 people, and then they will stop watching those material.
Okay, okay,
But
got
I
it.
like those material. I mean, I am really excited to watch Marco, and I'm really excited to watch Sonu Sood directed film, and I had a fun time watching Kill. Uh,
Yeah,
I also like all the Stone Age films and everything. I think they are very exciting.
yes, yes, yes.
So it's about the research that goes into the screenwriting. So I was watching Madan Soul, and that film stems from something that happened a few years back in Kerala. So I was thinking, do
Which
you
film? Which film? Which film?
Madan also, Madan also. It's on Prime, so if people are just please watch it. It's a really good film.
Mother?
Madan also, Madan also.
Mother also. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Santosh
it's
Kumar.
written by Ritich Balakrishnan. Yeah, yes, so, so that film also stems from something that happened in Kerala politics a
Yes.
couple of years ago. So, when I watch a film, it's very evident that an insane amount of research goes into the film. So, even so, Crime, I feel like that's the series that that made you research so much. I feel like that's the case. Even though even Sangharsha Ghadana has done and for Sangharsha Ghadana, you've done a lot of research very evident. Crime deals with laws and contemporary,
Yes, yes, yes.
issues and everything. And at the end, you even say, what's the case right now? So, is it like you read something and then okay, this is interesting. Should I research more about it? Or you get an idea and then okay, like I should make a film about this and then research. Like what's
No,
the
no,
process?
it's the second. It's the second. Also, Cry Vikra is a spillover content of Aavasavyuham. So we did so much research in Aavasavyuham that we had so much data. Like there's a lot of data. And I also had this idea of Cry Vikra. And I could use all that data in my material. So the research for Cry Vikra is the least because we had so much data from Aavasavyuham research. But how do I go about? I have an idea first and then I research, because research is the first step of design process, and also research helps us write things better. And now with AI and everything, the research has become a lot easier. You have a thought, you put it on Chat GPT, you get 20 books. You go to Google and you find out those books. If you want to read those books, you can, or if you don't want to read those books, summarize the book on Chat GPT and give you things and everything. So life has become easier, but I like that process because I don't think I'm a natural writer. Although I am industrious and I'm hardworking, I'm not a natural writer. So if you look at my stories, there is nothing, unique as in a screenplay uniqueness in those stories. But I think I'm still impressing people with data and infotainment and all those stuff rather than, pure drama. So I have to do my research. And also being from a design school, I think that's one thing that you learn.
Yeah, so you said you don't know if you're that good a writer. Paul Thomas Anderson once said screenwriting is not real writing, but Tarantino once said real like screenwriting is really good writing. Which one would you say? Just curious.
I don't know, man. Like I read all these beautiful books, and I think that they cannot be made into cinema. And then you see someone like someone make a film like adaptation, or someone make a film like
Charlie Kaufman?
Charlie Kaufman
Yeah.
and their writings, and I'm like, can we even think of cinema like that, or somebody makes something like Separation, which is good writing and good cinema. So I really don't know. I think everyone subscribes to their own idea with cinema. That is the democracy of this popular medium, where anyone who's done anything good can come up and give a statement, and some people will say yes, and I'm okay with both the ideas. But for me personally, I'm not somebody who I can write a good drama, because every scene is conflict, because two characters need to have conflict, and those technicalities are perfect. But to get a story is not something that not easy for me as well.
Yeah, just want to add to that. Like looking at yourself as a filmmaker, how you've evolved. Do you see yourself making a film that might not be funny ever?
No. I think humor, I think it is my me coping with my childhood trauma with sarcasm, and that reflects in my conversations, that reflects in my personality, and I see that everywhere, and it ends up being in cinema too.
Yeah.
I think it would be funny.
I think Rajesh Govardhan has raised his hand.
Hello,
Yes.
Krishand. Hello.
Hi,
Um,
Rajesh.
am I audible?
Yeah, you are perfectly.
Yeah. So my question, I haven't framed this question perfectly, but I was listening to you, and I just want to know about the process of yours, like being a writer, director, and coming from a design background. Uh, Mostly, my question is about composition. So when I watch this Purusha Pretham, and you are, I think that you were the cameraman, right?
I was, yes.
Yeah, you were the DOP. So and you were mentioning about the negative and positive space, and about this Monet Mane references. Impressionist references. And my question is about, while you considering all these things, how do you work with actors? Like, this is again, this staging is a room for actors to perform, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, so how do you work with the actors, and keeping in mind about your form, about your composition, and these things, how do you work with actors? I would like to know about.
Thank you, Rajesh bhai. The thing is like, so that is why I hate cinematography after Purusha Pretham. Okay, it's like I plain hate it because it was too stressful for me. Purusha Pretham was supposed to be shot by a European, Italian person who was based out of Seoul. His name is Nils Klaus, and Nils Klaus said no to this project. And then we found another person, but he did not want to come to India on a visiting visa. He wanted a professional visa, which was not easily available, and also he also thought that our preparation was not enough. And so I was working with Santosh Tundale, and I am also a photographer I've shot with Prakriti. So I finally decided. Yeah, at first, I thought Vishnu Prabhakar, my DOP of Aavasavyuham, can will shoot, but then we started thinking of the negative frames and those kind of compositions. Then it comes naturally to me, this negative frames and everything. But we still had an aesthetic cheat sheet. So I had a very strong cinematography team. I had my chief associate Vishnu, and we also had a cheat sheet, and so we would mark on the cheat sheet. So the first part we would do is blocking with actors or with my direction team, and then we light it after that. And while the team is lighting it, I'll spend time with the actors and log their emotions and also understand their improvs. Then I'll come back, and mostly the operator Vishnu or me, we would operate the camera, and I also felt very close to the actors because I was viewing it through the cinema, through the cinema camera. I also felt that I'm watching cinema very closely, and if the emotion. So I was not concentrating on things like focus. That was the job of my chief. I was only looking at composition and like the frame composition and acting. So these were the only concerns. So there are times when I chose acting over composition and would recompose in post and everything. So the director part was working more than the cinematographer. Also, we chose color combinations, like we have green for sober and red for anger. Then we had water for Darshana and the fire for Krishand. So the design elements are also there. So if we check everything right, and then we go into the shot, and that is how we did it. But it was cognitively very tough for me. By the end, I figured out that I should not be doing cinematography and direction together. So I won't be doing it for some time till I recover from that whole experience.
Okay, thank you. And after listening to you, the thing is, will you go to set with a say that today you are going to shoot one or two scenes, and will you go to set with a certain set of short list because you have got all these things the composition elements and this color, everything is there, and you have to work with actors as well. So will you go to set onto location with a list of shots, or
Yes,
you?
yes, yes. If we have time, I can share. I go with everything. Let's look at. I'm March 21st. A random date I'll put, and oh yeah. I have. Meanwhile, somebody can ask another question. I'll show it in between. I'll interrupt in between and show it.
Okay. Sorry to the moderator. I have one more question.
Yeah, no
The-
problem.
yeah. The question is, I really like I really like your films, Aavasavyuham and this Purusha Pretham, and even this Art of Warfare.
Mhm.
Yeah, my question is, when you write dialogues,
Yeah.
and after, uh, if I'm talking about this Purusha Pretham, while I was referring to the Purusha Pretham, I could remember that Jagadish's character's dialogues is very much in sync with music. I'm not sure about.
Yes.
Yeah. And a vague memory about the music and the dialogue part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you conceptualize, or when you write your idea to the story, and when you write dialogues, and can you brief me about your musical thought
Yeah, I
process
think
and
I have
sound?
talam for every scene. So every scene is based on some talam. So we tell that talam to certain actors. I tell this to Vishnu. I tell this to Rahul. Tell this to Srinath. I tell this to Jagdish Shetty. I tell this to Darshana. I tell it to a lot of actors whom I am comfortable with and who I understand can do something with the talam. Yeah, yeah. Hold on. So I'll show you something. No, no, not the same question, not the same thing.
No,
Yeah.
that's okay. You were for the previous one, right?
Yeah, for the previous one. So this is. So this is maybe a rough draft. So this is how so this is the color scheme for the day.
Uh-huh.
And then Dilly Burton speaking to Sebastian White till we run till the end of the scene. Ambulance should be blaring and should have lights. 7 junior artists, 2 nurses, 2 crew members in doctors' jackets, 2 civilians. Ideally want to end the scene on a wide angle. Handle mid shot of Dilly Burton. End by 8:30 p.m. And then I go into this. End by 11:30 p.m. All of them except the bow. Run Simple Picasso, Interior LA Hospital, OTS of Picasso. We should reach here by afternoon. And then this 12:30 to 3 p.m. One attender with mask, OTS of this. So I prepare this every day.
Okay.
So this is there. And then we have the rest of this. And so this is there throughout. So
Yeah.
this is it. Then also I have a storyboard. I was searching for that. There is a storyboard. There's also a parking plan and everything.
Okay. Thanks for the question. And coming back to this question about music and dialogues.
Yeah.
Working
So
with that.
there is this particular talam. So we call it BPM, right? Beats per minute.
Yeah.
There is
BPM.
talam. So that talam is communicated to a lot of actors. I mean, even Shanti, Shanti Balashna, I said recently when I shot with Shanti and Sanju, I told Sanju that, dude, this is going to be like tick, 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 like that. So
Okay.
your secondary should be faster, or your head movements you should time it in such a way that I get a lot of opportunity to not cut, because if my music is in that pace and their talam is not in that pace, then we have to have inserts, and this is a scene where I don't want to have inserts, or I want to. So I communicate this with certain actors, and then they are some of them are really trained to pull that off. I told this to an actor called Shambhu, the winner of Naika. I told him that in this scene, it's sober. It's going to be a long drawn music. It is not based on BPM. It is going to be, the people are going to feel very sad, and there is rain to add to that sadness. So whatever emotions you pull out, the rain and music is going to support it. So you want to control your emotion in such a way that it does not become melodramatic to my sensibilities. So the way he acted is based on the drone sad music and the rain. So I think these actors have also, they watch cinema a lot and they look at cinema like it is an academic medium, and sometimes all of them understand this, and we get the desired result.
If there is, I think there is space for one last question. Krishand,
Yeah, we have there definitely.
if anyone has to ask anything, please, this is the time.
Do you shoot chronologically? So I'm asking this
No,
because
I don't.
okay. So especially considering you didn't write Purusha, I mean the concept didn't come from you initially. You were brought into the project. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Purusha Pretham? Yeah. So, but then you kind of like you said, the writer, especially when you're not writing, do you find it like a little difficult to match the frequency, because the writer might be writing it as a drama, but you being or having the style of your own, having to bring in colors, make it a comic.
No. The thing is that I really don't work with writers who consider the material above cinema. I will not work with them. With Ajit, Ajit is a wonderful filmmaker and a human being. So with Ajit, he submitted the material to me, and the discussion is only when the core concept is affected. Otherwise, the form is again my choice. So the humor is my choice, and I would speak to, because Ajit's material had a dark humor. So I understood that the material had dark humor, but Malayalam Bhasha has this idea of counter tamasha. Like you say something tit for tat, and then there is a joke. So if I have a deeper joke, like somebody running in slow motion, like it is a sports day and everyone clapping, trying to get a dead body. If I want people to laugh there, I need to have some quirky jokes before that. So I would add those jokes initially so that people understand that this is a funny area, and then the jokes which are a little abstract will also get the laughter. So the joke is designed such a way. Then with Ajit, it was never that tough. As a writer, Ajit is a really nice writer. Where did we have differences? I think in Purusha Pretham we did not have much differences because we were trying to make the same film. So Sidney Lumet keeps on asking in his book, he has written, are we making the same film? So with Ajit, my writer, so I when I listen to screenplays or when I read screenplays, I ask the writer whether can I respect the integrity of the material, but I am the person responsible for packaging the material. So I'll say that I'm going to package it in this style and I'm going to bring in this thought. So if I find that they are not open to it, then definitely they should find somebody who wants to work on the material in another fashion, which is not mine. So I'll not work with those. It's not a strict no, because some people believe that it's the images in their head that should be made, and filmmaking is a collaborative process. So I convert it into another idea. The DOP comes and throws in something, the actor comes and throws in something, but we all have this core design idea deep in our head which we are trying to pull, and when you see it you understand that this is what I wanted, but it is better or it is not working. So like that, I mean, it's not very strict, but I would choose not to work with writers who are not letting me modify the material according to my taste and understanding. Because in cinema, wide OTS and a close-up can solve cinema for real. Okay, like you can make a 2-hour film with that, and that's what serials do, and that's what a lot of short films do, and that's what the what do you call sitcoms do. Akshay, now you have to approach it in a way, you have to strategize it in a way that how is your communication designed, or do you want to communicate, or do you want people to think multiple? So this choice should be given to the director, and that's it.
Yeah. So just to add on, I was you said OTS. So I was talking to Sanu Padagidan like a month back, and he said Krishand is a filmmaker who composes like every single shot of his in his mind and then shoots it.
Yes.
But sometimes I've also talked to like, even I have when I'm making films, sometimes I feel like okay, like this you don't have to think this much in the scene, just shoot it. So do you really like sit down and think, no, I need to make this scene like every single scene particular, or do you ever like lapse? I can't say lapse, but do you feel like relaxing in this?
Sadly, I'm very obsessed, and I do that. I think with Sangharsha Ghadana is my first film where I have not storyboarded, except for the first sequence and the last sequence. I have not storyboarded anything. So I think it's high time that I need to relax because I don't know. I'm too obsessed to not do that. I mean, and I see the director of Blade Runner. He draws everything. Like I still don't draw everything. I still draw only the scenes that are tougher to shoot, which we are on a timeline. If it's a simple conversation, I don't draw it. But I see that people who we consider as masters, they are always working, man, and there is no lazy way out. You want to create good artwork. So I don't think that I want to relax. I would love to, but this gives me more confidence to improvise on set.
Yeah. So I can I. So this I
Uh,
wrote this
yeah,
is
running
an
out of
advice.
time.
Yes,
Yes.
this very last thing. How do you deal with the anxiety? Because I
Deal
wrote
with
this in
what?
my thing, the anxiety before the release or while creating. Uh, how do you deal with the pressure? Like, how do you, especially as an independent filmmaker, like you
Uh,
have to
earlier,
tell your own.
earlier I used to deal with anxiety. So now I have my pills, but earlier I used to deal it like with with jeopardizing my thoughts and maybe but now I'm more anxious now, but at the same time I have my serotonins managed properly. And usually what happens is you are anxious, but you are also busy. It's like a Kalyana Vittal alien kind of a thing where you want to witness the marriage, but also you are worried about the parking lot, you are worried about the parkola, and you are worried about every shit that is happening. And then suddenly the marriage is over, and you know that something good has happened or something bad has happened. So with independent filmmaking, and even I think this is for every filmmaker, you are doing all this together.
So I want to thank Krishand. We had a really wonderful time.
Hey, thanks.
So it was really fun talking to you. I'm pretty sure that a lot of us want to talk a lot more, and maybe we'll do a like a personal session. Real is a too bad a word. Yeah,
That
we'll
would
do
be a
a
good idea.
personal.
Yeah, we should definitely have a longer session with him.
Longer
Yeah,
session.
we are inviting you to our institute. Like, please feel free to visit whenever you like. But let's also, if in a more organized manner, if you want to like do something really, definitely think of it, because we had so much fun in this session. People are
Thank
geeking out, so that was always fun to listen and to
Yeah,
interact.
I think I would let's practical filmmaking is what because all theory, in film schools what we end up doing is we teach them a lot of theory, and then they start breaking down everything theoretically instead of actually applying this theory to the artwork that they make. They start to apply it to a popular film, and that is so tough. I think it's more about cinema is more about shooting and editing, and then figuring out that it's not working out. Then again shooting, editing, and figuring out. That the only privilege you get to do that is in college. After that, every second is money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
sure,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sure. Bye
So
bye.
thanks a lot, Krishand. I just want to thank Sir Syed College faculty and also the students who have come and visited. I thank all of us on behalf of ASOMSAFT. And thanks a lot. And let's catch on our next webinar session. Thank you so much, Krishand. Thank you.
All right, bye bye.
Bye bye.